go much further down that way. Machines, they are, aren't they?
How people? 1 2 1 2.
Oh, and if you need assistance to get there, if you
balloon in the back of the
be back on again. And that's just a month today, we should be seeing it display. I understand from your trip to the Soviet Union, you discovered that the language barrier wasn't quite as horrendous as you thought it was going to be. Well, no. Okay, quick change of seaters. Andy Stewart rushes out of our little commentary box onto the balcony of air traffic. Gets a much better view out there, of course. Back again at Leicester. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Rose! As the team arrive there in 9-arrow formation and begin to turn to the left, they'll shortly be performing for you the classic diamond shape for the first time this afternoon. And leading this and all the formations is our new team leader for this year, Squadron Leader Adrian Burley. And flying on the lead, this is the somewhat curiously named the Vixen. During that manoeuvre is Red 4 this year, Flight Lieutenant Tony Smith. Age 33, this is Tony's second year on the Reds, and he flew the Harrier whilst based in Germany, and also in Belize and the Vulcan Islands. As the smoke comes off, watch closely for the we've reintroduced into the 19 1991 sequence, the shape that I hope you'll agree looks something like the Concorde. Thank you. Bachelor pilot. He'll give me a real clip round the ear if I forget to mention that. I like Tony Smith, he also operated the Harrier in Germany before becoming a tactics instructor at the Hawk at RAF Chippenham. Pulling up now from our right is the shape featuring 5 aircraft in line astern and 5 in line abreast. A very difficult rolling manoeuvre, the Tango. Now the two pilots, because they are red 6 and 7, the synchro pair. Hopefully this is the bit everybody's been waiting for. As the team now runs in towards us, look underneath the main section, and we'll see 6 and 7 just beginning to descend gently beneath them. Smoking now red and blue. And as synchro perform their first cross, watch as the 7 aircraft fan out over our heads in the cascade. The Sheriff, Flight Lieutenant John Newton. 35 former Jaguar pilot, John has also completed. Now it's threads 2 and 3 who are the first to fly the rollbacks. Team up at center stage. And finally the turn of 8 and 9 to complete this manoeuvre with a blue smoke once again. As they fly, Revolver. Flight Lieutenant Andy Wyatt. 30-year-old Andy, who started his flying career on the Lightning, has also flown a tour as a flying instructor on the Hawk on our left and now pointing at the 7 on our right. With a combined closing speed in excess of 600 miles an hour, they're going to fly up and underneath them, thereby executing the crossing manoeuvre that we call the Goose. Smoking our national colours and the colours, of course, of the Royal Air Force. But as their smoke comes off, it's all eyes back to the front once again to see synchro running in towards us, and as their white smoke changes to red and blue. Each other than we've seen thus far today. And of course some of you will notice that this is a V flying on its side, and I wonder where we got that idea from. It's V for victory. Now Red Arrow speed's on its way. Watch the synchro come back in again.
I can't see him.
passing off the Twizzle. With a coloured smoke on, the chance of a great picture. So we say goodbye to the Red Arrows for 1991, the Vixen break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your kind attention. It's been a very great pleasure to be back with you. It's been a couple of years absence. Nothing to do with us, of course, but he got back in pretty quickly, and that was because he had a fuel leak problem. We don't know much more about it than that. And he... Richard pulls up the vertical, series of very quick wells there, over 360 degrees per second, hanging on the engine power and the propeller, virtually standing still there, twisting the other way, and then falling back through the smoke he produced on the way out. This is going to be a limited display. It's a great shame we're not seeing the full one, actually. In any case, that very high rate of roll again as he comes down. The Soviets have a number of what they call design bureaus. Sukhoi is one of them. Others are organisations like Tupolev and Mikoyan. Mikoyan, of course, are the MiGs. They make fighters. Tupolev make the sort of... Championship in 1986 aircraft. Running started display to 100-foot fly past. Speeds just over 300 miles an hour. Jet stream for multi-engine training. Of course, those who weren't going to say fixed wing would go on to helicopters. I think it's that the Jet Promise you're seeing at the moment is shortly to go out of service as a basic flying training aircraft. Just to be safe and realise that we we could actually do a display.
That had been used during the First World War and started going around the country giving people flights and doing sort of strange things in airplanes. That sort of novelty wore off after a while, and they actually walk. They're strapped into very secure harnesses that are on the upper wing. The who are flying the synchronized maneuvers. He's had flying his blood since he was at school. Started flying gliders. Went on to commercial aircraft, and this is his 4th season in the display circuit. Now the two young ladies who are actually on the upper surface of the wing in those harnesses, walking records, and the number 2, Sarah Kubit. This is her 1st season wing walking. That's a lovely photograph. We can get it as the season goes on, so the mirror formation is getting closer and closer. I suppose one day they'll eventually hold hands. And red for the Cadbury's trophy. This is the 2nd season of Red Arrow that you're after. The sort of speeds they're flying 100, 120 miles an hour. Now, you think about what it's like driving down the motorway at 70 miles an hour, because we all know that none of us break the speed limit. Stick your hand under the window. double that sort of spins can actually appear doing these sort of displays. It's a very expensive hobby. It's been sponsored, so it's great credit that...
An exit and the canopies will open 5 seconds after they've exited the Andover, and there are 4,000 feet.
The smoke coming out of the back, so it should be clearly visible to everybody. Just looking up slightly to the right of centre as the Andover runs in. Smoke coming out from the rear doors, as obviously they're open with the team ready to jump. Having said that, of course, one of the rules for the Vulcans is there've got to be no propellers turning on the ground, and the Crunchies are just taxiing in at the moment, so I think we're going to have just a short gap while the Andover repositions and waits for confirmation that... Probably one of the things that's worth mentioning, Tony, is the DZ party, because that's a fairly critical part of the...
And exit.
Which
There you see it now.
Oh, there's enough of them.
Well, Simon Rushton has just confirmed that he's got 1, 2, that means 12 to you and I. Good canopies, that's all the canopies have opened. Simon, what's the routine now?
The team coach who's going to lead the spiral stack into the arena today and fly to maintain that spiral stack.
And the height of the highest man, and presumably because he can't see him, and he was asking the dropping zone to confirm that information to him.
Yes, as we'll see later on, the aircraft likes to do a fly past. Once the team have landed and we've formed up to take a salute on the ground, the aircraft, in this case today it's an Andover from RAF Benson, like to do it.
Simon's back to business, has just been interrupted again.
Yes, as I was saying earlier on, the aircraft likes to know the height of the last man so that he can gauge when to do his fly past. All men are safely on the ground, the canopies aren't going to blow away, and we've got time to form up and take any salute to any visiting VIPs.
Simon, the stack now is falling together as it should be. He's just talking now to the stack.
RAF flag, RAF flag.
I was back to the aircraft again. What's happening in the stack now, Simon, if you've got time to tell me?
And then make their final approach back into wind, which will help them stall the canopies and brake to get experienced man, and he will know when to turn in to make his downwind approach and to get very, very close to the crosses. So here he comes in now, Flight Sergeant Kelly, the team coach.
Thank you, Simon Rushton. I don't know how he did that commentary as well as talk to the aircraft and the staff. Tremendous performance. You were quite correctly talking about the Nimrod being with the Edo Bomber Squadron, and this is one of the support measures, the yellow gate, and that's a way of detecting all sorts of electronic equipment that's being transmitted from the ground or sea up, so you know what your set is. Inside that huge bomb bay you have things like the Harpoon air to serve as missile for striking against surface targets. Be clever enough to be able to see them and differentiate between different...
and welcome to the Air Tour Diamond 9, lined up on the grass in front of the runway. Slow and rather torn up there, and hence the need for the circuit. As you can see at the moment, the leader out in front has got his throttle well back, and the chaps at the back are actually piling on the coals with the throttles right through the firewall to try and get into position. After base all around the country, from Sussex to Cheshire and Cambridgeshire and all points in between, we spend quite gentle green grass to a hard run of the gentlemen of Flightline Services, who give their services free to act as our ground crew, driving many hundreds of miles throughout the summer. We couldn't do it without them, so thank you very much to them. And they'll be coming back to their parking positions close to the fence. Ladies and gentlemen, the Air Tour Diamond 9
Comes in, I'm just going to pass the microphone to that night of Ian Harvey. Ian, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Royal Navy Links display. As you see, they're running in towards the crowd and making a wing-over manoeuvre there. The pilot this afternoon is Lieutenant Clive Knott, and the observer Lieutenant Henry Hailstone, who's a Leicester local, and obviously very pleased to be back here for the air show today. Both are based with 702 Naval Squadron at Portland in Dorset. It's the next training squadron, training all aircrew and maintainers for the frontline service in ships' fights at sea, both frigates and destroyers. Some of you may be familiar with the Lynx aircraft from recent press coverage in the conflict in the Persian Gulf. The aircraft, the Western Lynx, combined with the British Aerospace Sea-Secure missile system, was what was used to such devastating effect against the Iraqi Navy.
Just one thing I'd like to ask about the Lynx. It's got what is called a rigid rotor, and that makes it quite significantly different for an air display airplane as, for instance, a Gazelle.
That's absolutely right, yeah. It's got a semi-rigid rotor head, which makes it much more manoeuvrable. Basically, all the control inputs that are put in go more rapidly to the head. As you can see from this, it's a fairly agile aircraft, which it actually needs to be for some of the roles it performs in naval warfare at sea.
We've got an Army Air Corps Lynx in the Army. They've got skids. This is what I would describe as sort of Tesco sort of shopping trolley wheels. Why the difference?
The difference is because the Army Lynx obviously generally operate from greenfield sites, the Naval Lynx operating from flight decks at sea. It needs a more flexible landing system, and therefore we have wheels on it, which also enables it to swivel on deck, which is something you'll see any moment now. So the aircraft can actually take off into wind. And shortly perform the swivel manoeuvre, which is so important for operations at sea. Demonstrating some of the manoeuvrability of the Lynx aircraft, one that has been incredibly successful throughout the world and is now sold to several countries, several navies around the world.
What sort of small size ship that this would
Lynx aircraft is designed at sea as an anti-ship weapon system
appreciate not to have Sea Harrier on display, so we're just Harrier here. They haven't actually isolated it, and just for common control of the aircraft, there was little puffer jets out on the end of the wings and in the nose and in the tail, and that gives the very unusual control that you need for hovering flight.
Still like to fool us.
Like for a slow roll. This aircraft, the Hawk, is of course not only used by the Red Arrows, it's used operationally as an defence training aircraft in the Royal Air Force. Also...
Well, there you are, ladies and gentlemen, your commentary team for the first time in years don't know. So it's not something that's happened to us before. And the Spitfire running in from the right, without, as we suspected, unfortunately, the Lancaster.
Three enemy aircraft, but not without a little bit of damage. There's a subject, he still bears the repair marks. And the Britain Royal Flight actually have 5 Spitfires. They've got the power of the engine. Of course, it was the forerunner of aircraft like the Hunter and the Harrier. Became the aircraft that everybody remembered. The heavier armament, and the tank, the one we're actually looking at the moment.
Synchronised aerobatics. The air display which won the Battle of Britain Memorial Trophy for the best team display at the start of the display. Not that it takes them 8 minutes to get there.
Tanks, whereas once the airfields had been damaged to that, so the Iraqi Air Force couldn't come out to play, so the Tornadoes went for the sort of strategic logistic targets such as the bridges, communication sites, and the refineries. During the early days when the Jaguars were actually involved in the increasing power. Fairly slow speed approach from the right. You can see the fairly high angle of attack, or alpha as they call it. Not quite fly-by-wire, but still quite a good slow speed handling characteristics from the Jaguar. This one is square box you can see out on the tail. That's the radar. That's the thing that's target seeker.
Well, we just see the Shark helicopters, the 4 Shark helicopters moving on, and they're going to go and clear the airfield for a while, which gives me the opportunity to introduce Peter McNamara, the team commentator for Team Toyota, who are sponsored today by Leicester Toyota. And ladies and gentlemen, this, you may have seen it before, but this is a brilliant...
An hour to give us a display of formation flying, and synchronized aerobatics. S2A, a two-seater aircraft, though naturally no passengers are carried during the display. Therefore, the front cockpit has the windshield removed, the cockpit is blanked off, which gives it that very racy, long-nosed appearance. Now, with their smoke streaming, pulling up into the first of the formation maneuvers. In Vic formation, Nigel leads the team into a loop-the-loop. The two wingmen in the Toyota Pit Specials maintaining distance of only a few feet from their leader, as Nigel leads them down to commence what looks like another loop, but we call this one a clover leap because of the shape left by the smoke trails in the sky, as the formation is necessary to withstand the stresses and strains of aerobatics. Now Nigel leads the team down for the inside-outside loop, so watch the two Pit Specials roll the right way up for half a Cuban while Nigel remains inverted. The force of gravity there, -3G from the left, and corkscrew through the barrel. As ever, a maneuver which is made to look easy, but is very difficult indeed. In fact, while watching this maneuver, a 6-year-old friend of my family was actually there to ask her dad what joined them together. And in fact, you could almost believe they were invisibly joined in a maneuver like this. Rolling through 540 degrees while Nigel Lamb flies up through the centre, before disappearing and leaving the centre stage to find the knife edge pass. Arcing over at the top, and now on the way down, rolling to present a pair of synchronized maneuvers, synchronized loops. So pulling hard on the control column, easing off the back pressure at the top to make sure we get a nice round circle, keeping the aircraft straight with rudder, climbing vertically once more, then over the top. Now watch the man on the right as he rolls to now fly back away from his fellow team member. And now we'll show a pair of synchronized stalls to the left and diving back down through their own smoke trails before flying back into the center for the spectacular opposition flick roll. This is really a controlled high-speed spin, the aircraft flicking one around the other and flying off to right and left, while Nigel Lamb rolls in to attract your attention past 5 years and also placed him 8th in the European Aerobatic Championships in Toulouse a couple of weeks ago, the highest British placed pilot by some measure. Two-seater with 300 horsepower, and those extra horsepower really do make the performance a lot better. Nigel learned to fly in the Rhodesian Air Force, first of all on the Piston Provost, and then on the Vampire Jet Trainer. And it was while flying the Vampire that he survived a forced landing in the bush when his engine failed. Well, his engine hasn't failed there, that's a very smartly executed stall turn. Unfortunately, Nigel Lamb recovered from that incident and went on to fly Alouette and then Bell helicopters, ending his career in the Air Force as an instructor. He's been doing display flying in the UK since 1981, and he decided to have a go at competitions back in '86. He was second in his first attempt at the British National Championship, but has won the title every year since then, and also holds the British National Freestyle title as well. And back in line abreast, Joss Johnson spools away and the aircraft is left literally hanging on its propeller. Then at the leader's command, it's full left rudder, close the throttle, and down they dive. While from the right we see Nigel Lamb flying in at high speed, roaring as he goes for an exciting opposition pass with the formation pair. Did he go past them or was it between them? I don't know. Now we've got the sky full of aircraft, and you can just imagine Nigel homing in on the two Pit Specials because he's got to dive back down and slot into formation with them. So he rolls down in hot pursuit, having to judge his speed very carefully because he's got no air brakes and the Lexus Extra is such a slippery machine, it's very easy to overshoot. So roaring down in hot pursuit of the two Toyota Pit Special, we now see flying his aircraft inverted as we have a mirror image of the two Pit Specials while Nigel Lamb barrel rolls very tightly around the formation pair. And what a pretty picture that. There they go, arcing off to right. Pulling 60 degrees
degrees nose up, 90 degrees right flank, and flicking the shark's tail. This year the shark's tail by Lieutenant Commander Paul Cottington. Paul is a training officer for 705 Squadron, which carries out basic pilot training for all naval helicopter pilots. The shark's fin. Rotor blades turning, the tips of the blades are actually approaching 400 miles an hour and are only some 15 feet apart in this manoeuvre. Braking. Jet's got nearly 3,000 flying hours now. Only 600 of those hours are in the Gazelle aircraft. Rejoining the silver-tip formation. 100 miles an hour at sea level. Unlike conventional helicopters, the Gazelle doesn't have a normal tail rotor. It has instead a 13-bladed fenestron, which is affectionately known as the fan in the fin. Running, diving, standby, braking. To the right. Display. It's Kim Allison saying cheerio and do enjoy the rest of the show. Secondary roles that it had was it had a system called the laser designation system was required. What sort of thing happened? I mean, I just say we're not getting a very long display from the back. Better with a net, which would be a perfect aeroplane, but if they're looking for somebody to lead the team, then Flight Lieutenant Lee Jones would be delighted to do it. And I suppose they either court-martialed him and threw him out, or made him put his money where his mouth was and get on and do it. So that in fact is actually what happened in 1964. The Royal Air Force produced a second display team. They were given 10 flying. The Yellow Jacks only lasted 1 year. 1965 saw the arrival of the Red Arrows. Red because of the red pelicans and arrows because of the black arrows, changed the colour scheme, and the red arrows as we know them today came into existence. But this was the team that actually was the 480-degree rate of roll, which is very, very fast. That by Bob Thompson, very experienced display pilot, ex-military. He was the leader of the Gemini aerobatic team back in 1973, which was 2 jet provers flown from the prototype flying. It takes about 15 years these days from design and work to prototype flying. Performance during the first 2 test flights standard even the people who built it. It flew like a fighter, upward rolls from the ground, level on one engine, and that finally attracted official interest. The fleet situation in the military became progressively faster, heavier, and increasingly difficult to intercept. First production Mark IV bomber was discovered that by copying bomb bays instead of carrying 4 250-pound bombs, it could actually carry 4 5 squadron, 633 squadron, and 1978 TV film Men Called Intrepid. Nearly 8,000 mosquitoes were produced, about 30 still exist, and quite a nice paint scheme, blue and white Seat livery. And again, I apologise for all the people who aren't close to where the aircraft are actually moving in and out, but you'll see that quite a lot of the wording on the aircraft all in
Russian. This Yakov, the design bureau Yakolov, they again used to make fighter aircraft. It's larger than most of the aerobatic aircraft, quite big, but that's because it's a two-seater. Smoke trailing from the smoke pods underneath the left and right wings. They've got the sort of constructor based down in Dijon for the last 11 years. He created the concept of this display team when he was 28 years old. Been with Jack since the team were first formed, so this is now his 16th season.
There you go.
Like many mad Frenchmen, when he's not doing this sort of thing, he spends the rest of the time skiing. Michel Hugo Verin, the number 3, again former Air Force pilot from Marseille, structured on the Fouga Register squadron based in Strasbourg. This is his 5th year with the team. On the display circuit, all of the other ones just ordinary piston aircraft. They're all basically headed off in the opposite direction. And then doing a second loop on top of that, so it's a figure 8 stacked in the sky. This is what they call their Apache roll. Again, it's a similar sort of thing that we've seen with the Toyotas. We've got 3 aircraft in line abreast, while the leader does a sequence of barrel rolls around the rest of the team.
Not an air.
So the 3 there changing from the line astern, and they'll be now running in for an opposition cross. Main formation around about 100 miles an hour, gear down, solo running in about twice that speed, straight through the formation ceiling. Squadron base scenario leaving to Saudi Arabia, and any attempt at all to attack the forces that were assembled there. The F3 Fire or Blackjack, so the 25 Squadron F3 Tornado display.
sort of thing, as I say, you need to defend such a large area as we have. Unlike the Buccaneer that we saw earlier, which has actually got a fixed in-flight refueling probe, the is running in now from the right. 4 Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus engines, each developing 20,000 pounds of thrust. Designed as a strategic bomber, and as you'll see shortly, handles like a fighter. nuclear standoff missile Blue Steel when that was taken over by the nuclear submarine, so the Vulcan reverted to the conventional bomber, carried 21 1,000-pound nose bombs in the runway. Express Extra, I think erroneously we're getting another pass overhead from the Vulcan, so we'll enjoy that before I tell you about the Daily Express Extra. So here we have Brian Lacombe overhead. I say trip owners up. Local Leicestershire Museum of Technology, Oscar.
Ready to enter.
Moving stairway. Come down to the end. With a throttle. There is a one-way system in operation along Dartry Road. Inevitable children.
Does this kind of operation mean, how...
Right? He's round this one. I know Kenny caught you at that end. How's it going now?
I mean, any chance of, the thing pulling you and then starting it up, or...?
No, the alternator's jammed itself. The bearings have gone on the alternator.
Oh, right. Can we have a T-shirt on with a pair of headphones walking past that caravan? I don't think you're really worried about the fact you can't get one. Would you have to wave, Mr. Ice Cream Man? He's not listening, after all we've done for him. Oh, no, I was just curious. There was a Sierra, a beige-coloured Sierra, with a Union Jack flying from it as well, so if he's listening, it's a very good one.
Put their hands out of their car. Anybody listening at the moment can see it swingily, quite smoothly.
That'll do. And that's the way we like to keep it. It's 6:15. Kenny Hagan, Mark Heyman are our reporters around the airfield tonight, around Stoughton, and they're reporting on the situation as far as the traffic is concerned. It must be easing off, I should think.